Talk about a cheap podcast, no food or movies. We're out of here. It's Deep Dive Zone, everybody. A Sonic review series for fans of all shapes and sizes. I am your host, Devin, joined as always by my co-hosts, Lauren and Bruce. And guys, today we're moving through Sonic X Adventure 2. Not to be confused with Sonic X Shadows Oiled Up Twerk-Off Generations, which is coming out this fall. I'm gonna keep calling it that.
Yeah, I know you are.
Anyway, today we're starting off with the proper start to Adventure 2's story with episode 34, Sonic the Fugitive. That's a title that it shares with Archie, but it's called A Shadow Knows in the dub.
Yeah, for once, the dub title makes little sense.
Following Eggman's invasion of Prison Island, Sonic is labeled a criminal and pursued by Gun. What's going on? The answer lies with a mysterious black hedgehog. And, yeah, just like in the game, we don't see what actually got Sonic when he got arrested. We just cut right to it.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
We get the scene. We get, Sonic jumping out of the plane, ripping off the thing, boarding on it.
In the Japanese version, when he jumps out of the helicopter, he doesn't say the full, all three lines. He doesn't say anything about it being a cheap flight or anything. He just says he prefers running.
Yeah.
Honestly, I mean, some of the iconic lines I complain about, but often it's jokingly. What I have bigger issue with is the fact that he doesn't get to board on the board in the city. He just ditches the board immediately.
Yeah, so what was the point of even grabbing the hull plate anyway?
This isn't even City Escape. There's no truck.
No, this is not City Escape at all. He gets to do like a half pipe and that's it.
Yeah, like there's some beetle robots and then he just goes in some sewers.
Yeah, City Escape's a lot more different than I remember.
I like that the aforementioned beetle robots have absolutely no respect for public property. They're just destroying everything. I can't believe that this doesn't get any bad press. I guess they're really good at just being like, oh, yeah, it was Sonic that caused all the destruction.
Yeah, Sonic and, the robots. We weren't controlling the robots.
Oh yeah, Sonic, famous technomancer who just hacks all of the machines to cause wanton destruction.
Right.
Yeah, well, what can distract us from that but checking in with Chris? He has gotten worse.
Yeah, he seems like actually depressed now.
Well, so after the 6-month time skip, instead of just being curious and like thinking Sonic is cool, now his every thought seems to revolve around the next time he's gonna see Sonic.
Yeah. That's
It's like it felt like
that's not healthy, bud.
He was obviously like a little too clingy before, but now it's like, do you have other parts of your life?
Well, he's become actually obsessive.
Yeah, it's like me as a kid. It's terrible.
Jesus.
Was Chris a stand-in for a Sonic fan?
He probably was.
It's possible. Also, here's a weird thing about this arc. Sam Speed is President Mike's chauffeur now?
We saw that, I think, in the last episode.
I think so, yeah.
Maybe we didn't bring it up, but...
No, I think we forgot to bring it up. But yeah, Sam is now the president's chauffeur for some reason. And he's, like, occasionally going to be giving him, like, life advice.
It's really weird. So yeah, Shadow, finally we see him rob a museum and take an emerald.
Wait, I have to mention...
Hold on a second. We haven't gotten to that yet. I want to point out that the president's aide is racist.
What? What does he say?
She calls Sonic a beast that's unfit to live in our world.
Oh, I see.
Which is, that's a little...
They're gonna get into that a little later in the show, I think. I don't know how much, but I can't remember. But, yeah, that's interesting. They're dropping hints of that. I was gonna bring up another thing that she mentioned, which was no citizens were harmed during the Perfect Chaos Rampage.
That's right.
Oh, I didn't even... I'm so used to that being the canon answer now that it didn't even register with me.
They didn't fix that part, even though they did make it seem more devastating.
They may seem more devastating, but they at least showed evacuation, which I could see them using that as an excuse to be like, yeah, no one died.
Every single person was evacuated. It was a very small city of like 100 people. You could save that.
Yeah, it's a very small city. It's just very large physically. Everyone owns a building. Everyone owns an entire building.
Right.
Can I complain about Shadow now, please?
Go
Yes,
ahead.
there's a point about Shadow
Okay,
now.
so this scene where Shadow robs the museum, you know, it's one thing for it to be in the dark and he moves fast and he's shaped really similar to Sonic. It's another
Sure.
thing entirely to go up and fucking mug a security camera
Yeah,
and
he
have
mugs
people
at the fucking camera.
just look at you and be like, "Yep, that's Sonic."
Yeah, no, that's why I say the plot of Shadow being mistaken for Sonic is completely ridiculous in this show.
Well, so here's the thing, right? In SA2, if you do assume that Sonic is being framed, then the only person to
Sure.
mistake Shadow for him is Amy. And with Amy, they clearly made that
Yeah.
into a running gag because she does the same bullshit
Yeah.
in '06 with Silver.
Right.
But here, you know, this gets put on live television, and the entire Thorndike family is like, there's no way that could be anybody but Sonic.
Yeah, I hate that so fucking much.
The animators completely dropped the ball. All they had to do was just make him shadowed and
Yeah.
make it unclear, and it would have been perfectly fine.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, like maybe that's not, maybe even the scriptwriters weren't even knowing that that was what it was going to look like when they wrote it, so it's entirely...
That being said, though, when Shadow's fighting the Beatles, he does look really cool.
Oh,
See,
Shadow
I
the
think
Hedgehog.
I think part of it might be they didn't want to hide Shadow's design.
Yeah, that's probably it. There's no reason to hide Shadow's design.
You need to have Shadow be cool, and that's definitely a big part of it.
Yeah, but I guess that's taking us into account instead of in-universe into account.
Yes, and like that is the thing, is that like Shadow is cool. Realistically, he would be kind of a fucking loser, which is why I kind of like when they portray Shadow as a loser.
I've
Anywho.
never heard anyone describe him as a loser, but yeah, okay.
Hey, we get one of my babies. We get some awesome Jerome action. He's continuing his career as a hobo and fully blames Sonic for both being fired and his girlfriend breaking up with him.
Sure, why not? You can blame Sonic all you want.
It's like now he wants to get revenge, which is hilarious.
I want to see him try because it would be hilarious, I'm sure.
I do like that the hobo that he's talking to is just like, nah, Sonic's not the culprit here. He's the victim. It's like, yeah, the homeless know what's up, other than Jerome.
Jerome is just coping, but yeah.
Yeah, he's
like,
coping hard.
So Scarlett and Franklin, I kind of just want to call him Mr. Stewart.
That's what I've been calling him in my notes.
You can, I mean, it's fine.
They go to
know
Prison
it is.
Island, and they get to see footage of Eggman's attack with Shadow destroying the hotshot robot.
Yeah.
They are, yeah, like with everybody else, they still think Shadow is Sonic. I guess.
Well, to
I
be
guess
fair,
there's-
Mr. Stewart does question if it's really Sonic.
Yeah, but like.
But the fact that everyone's
This
immediate
is the
thought
facility
is
that housed
Sonic.
him, though. So are they deliberately
Yeah, but,
covering up it or not?
Well, I think Shadow was that much of a secret that they probably didn't even know he was there.
I mean, further evidence definitely supports that idea.
So I think it's a combination of that, and Gunn is now trying to cover their ass.
Sonic himself is still being chased through the sewers by beetle robots. It's become nighttime at this point, but he's still being chased.
It's for like 12 hours.
I didn't remember City Escape taking that long to finish. But
it is the longest Sonic
the
stage
boss
ever
fight.
made. The boss
it
fight
does
is
take
at night.
You're right. Yeah,
That is a good
you're
point. Well, I would assume, once he escapes the truck, he went into hiding for a little while.
He went to go get Jamba Juice.
I mean, or chili dog.
They're basically the same thing.
Sure, why not?
Anyway, Sonic fights the Bigfoot robot and easily wins, as expected.
Yeah.
The cockpit looks completely destroyed, but there's supposed to be a guy in there.
It's autonomous.
Both Big Shot and Bigfoot seem to be unmanned in this show. I don't know why.
Yeah, I'm guessing so they don't show. Ostensibly, our two heroes, not really calling Shadow hero at the moment, but you know what I mean. The not showing them, destroying a robot with a person still inside of it.
Well, so why were they okay with it back during Sonic Adventure?
Because Sonic Adventure was when Sonic was starting his edgy phase.
They're no longer edgy when they made Sonic X. Got it.
I mean, Sonic X is
I think they just
The
didn't
games were
really
still
think
edgy.
about it. I don't think you can see the pilot inside there, and you won't see it that closely if you look at like Adventure 2. Like obviously they have voices, but you
Yeah, that
don't
makes it
see the
pretty
guy in there
obvious.
very clearly.
The voice makes it
Yeah.
pretty obvious, though.
Well, I
Maybe it
guess
could
it
just be a
could be
robot with a voice.
autonomously
I don't know.
controlled.
I'm thinking about how Shadow the Hedgehog, the game, has those robots in the later stages that are kind of like the Bigfoot, and those ones have guys in them, but when you destroy them, they just explode and there's nothing left. The guy just disappears.
Well, remember, that's
It's
Shadow the Hedgehog.
it's
That's a
censored,
completely
I'm
different
sure,
game.
Yeah.
just like a lot of the game.
Either way, I think just animating a little sequence where the pilot climbs out and like scampers off, you could play that for comedy.
You could, but that might be giving the show too much credit.
Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, it's the shadow scene. It's the shadow scene.
Yeah, it's the shadow scene. He like raises up out of the robot like Jesus.
Yeah, and well, it's a little bit more than it is in the game because Shadow actually
It is.
attacks Sonic.
Yeah, they actually have a fight, and Sonic gets his ass beaten.
Yeah. I want to call attention to some background signs in the Japanese version.
I'm seeing them right now. They're pretty silly.
There's plenty of nonsense text in that version, and I don't totally blame it for being totally gone in
No.
4Kids when it has stuff like boo hoo hoo moo and poo poopy poo.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's mostly written with a letter U, but
I right now on my screen I see a fast, not fast, just fast with 3 F's, 3 A's, and 2 S's. So I can see why 4Kids would get rid of stuff like that because that's ridiculous. That doesn't take away from anything.
yeah. Mr. Stewart makes the shocking observation, seeing all this, that Shadow is black and not fucking blue.
Yeah,
Wow.
finally, it's the only not colorblind character in the entire fucking show, apparently.
The "I'll make you eat those words" line actually happens here instead.
Oh, I must have missed that. I
Yeah.
was probably taking notes or something.
And I do want to note that, everybody mistaking Shadow for Sonic, the one character to, like, instantly recognize it, right, is Eggman, which I guess is the case in Adventure 2 as well. But he's like, I thought it was Sonic at first too. But he gets a pass. You know why? Because the room is full of steam. And when it clears away, he's like, oh, you're not Sonic.
No, that's still stupid. I don't care. That's still stupid.
I completely disagree. I'm with Devin on this one, Bruce. I'm sorry. I think it's very reasonable because he quickly realizes it, as Devin said.
No, I get that he quickly realizes it, but the fact that he would think it in the first place is stupid.
I don't know.
Like-
He's never met another hedgehog, as far as we're aware.
He's met Amy.
Okay,
Yeah,
but
but
Amy's styled completely differently.
Yes, that is true. No,
Shadow needs a girl's haircut. That's the solution.
no, my problem with it is why would Eggman think Sonic is cryogenically frozen when, like,
It's just a knee-jerk reaction. He sees something vaguely Sonic-shaped, and he spends a lot of time getting hurt because of that.
Sonic has a knack for popping up at the worst times for Eggman, so...
That's fair. I don't know. I still think that line is really stupid.
I guess. I think it's better here than when he mistakes him for him in Adventure 2, because the steam is way less dense in that game.
To be fair, I'm pretty sure I thought that was stupid in SA2 also. Is that a firework?
My question is, how the fuck does Shadow know Eggman's name in this flashback?
He's all-knowing.
Okay.
How old is Eggman? How old...
Every piece of media we've had related to the series has implied that Eggman was born after the Ark incident.
That's what I thought.
Okay, because I'm like, it's possible that he was
So then
programmed
there is
into
no
his
way
mind by Gerald, but if that timing doesn't work...
Maybe
then
the
no.
resemblance to Gerald is just enough. That he just... well, he
He calls him Eggman. He doesn't call him
He
Dr.
does,
Robotnik.
yeah.
Wait,
No, that's
hear
true.
me out. It's an insult, and it just happens by chance that that's his name.
So you're egg-shaped. I'm just gonna call you Eggman.
Finally, the parallels between Sonic and Shadow are being spelled out for real. Inhibitor rings. That's a thing in this show.
Yes, it is.
They go completely unmentioned in SA2, but apparently they were something that Maikawa wrote for that game. So
Interesting.
But this contains something important after this, big scene between Sonic and Shadow, which is Sonic kind of stops after Shadow runs off and the police show up. And, okay, in SA2, right, on Prison Island, when Amy comes to rescue Sonic, in the dub he just says, the reason I'm in here is because of that black hedgehog. In the Japanese version, he specifically says, I let myself get captured on purpose to get more information about that guy.
That's right, yeah.
But in the game, I always thought it was funny because you couldn't tell if he was serious or just bluffing so that he's, like, saving face in front of Amy. But here we basically do see him surrender on purpose.
Yeah.
And I kind of wish they hadn't. I kind of like the idea of not knowing.
I think either way it works.
It's a small thing. But Eggman throws a big party to celebrate this, which I think is hilarious.
Yeah, finally, his arch enemy has been captured. Not by him, but also when he's being loaded on the helicopter to go to Prison Island, does the cop bringing him up the ramp have a leash on Sonic?
I think that's, like, tied to the handcuffs, isn't it?
That'd make more sense.
It's not around his neck, is it? I don't think so. No, I'm wrong. It's definitely a leash.
I can't really tell. It's so poorly drawn because it's a background thing.
In Eggman's party here, Bokun shows up to bring a message from Rouge to Eggman.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, how did Rouge get a message through Bokun?
So, Rouge manipulating Bokun is actually going to be a bit of a recurring thing. Not now, but way later. But I don't know how she did it here, because I'm pretty sure he doesn't have his locket yet. Which I'm not going to tell you what the fuck that means.
Alright.
It's a very minor thing. He's a messenger. I didn't really think about it.
Yeah, I mean, it's not that big. Maybe she just, like, punched him or something. I don't know. Yeah. She also says, long time no see, which is interesting because Eggman and Rouge have seen each other in this show, but they have not actually been formally introduced.
Yeah.
So it's kind of on the line. We were talking about, is he going to know who she is?
I'll have more problems later, but in this moment, it's not unreasonable simply because she offers a Chaos Emerald, and, like, why wouldn't he take it?
Sure.
Yeah, and I don't think... It's like, I'm thinking, what are the two times that Eggman and Rouge have seen each other? It was the assault on his base, which they went by so fast he may not have even known who she was or that it was her. And then she crashes into E99 and grabs Chris. So neither of those are explicitly, like, antagonistic toward each other, so that's fine.
Not really.
Shadow gets a minor Maria flashback. And, I just realized we skipped over Radical Highway. No Radical Highway in this show.
I mean, that's fine. You don't have to cover every single level.
But we don't
every
have the
state doesn't be adapted.
Because that originally shows a lot more of what happened with Maria, so I guess they're pacing things.
Yeah.
But then we get, as our end of the episode, the plan to rescue Sonic, which involves Tails and Amy doing the normal thing, but Chris and Mr. Tanaka are infiltrating separate from them?
Well, I think it's two different plans that were developed independently.
Yes, they didn't all four of them plan this. It's like I commended on Amy just going with Tails and rather than just inexplicably being there.
No, that makes sense, yeah.
But what are these, like, 1920s gangster get-ups that
they're dressed? It's a Green Hornet reference.
What? Really?
Yes.
Oh, weird.
I was not expecting that, and then I saw it, I'm like, fuck, I haven't thought about the Green Hornet in, like, probably 15 years.
Yeah, very odd.
Yeah, very strange. I especially don't expect it from an anime.
But, yeah, so that is the first episode of today. Some good adaptational changes, some that were a little meh, very, very similar to the SA1, way things play out so far.
Mm-hmm.
But continuing on, we get to episode 35, Escape from Prison Island, or Sonic's Big Break in the dub. Sonic is taken to the high-security Prison Island, while Eggman plots an emerald heist in the background. Can Sonic's friends save him, or will the saviors need saving? So, it's Prison Island. It doesn't really look like Prison Island, but whatever. It was not distinct in SA2.
Yeah, it really wasn't, so making it more distinct is probably a better thing.
It's fine. What the
also,
fuck?
Sonic's cell is a lot more secure looking now.
Yeah, it's, like, kind of surrounded by all this it's suspended and doesn't have water
Yeah.
around it.
Yeah,
it's
it's fully submerged, and
mhm.
he's like in a glass globe inside, which is also has a metal cell inside of it.
Yeah,
A lot more secure than just regular prison cell.
I mean,
yeah,
when it's on an island, that's pretty good. But yeah,
I mean,
no,
yeah,
true.
yeah. Can we talk about Chris and Tanaka's fucking swan pedal boat?
If we
I
must.
yeah, if we have to,
Well, it's amazing just how like different the priorities of the Sega side of the story and the animators and writers of this
yeah,
show side of the story are.
it does kind of feel like we're getting to a point where it's two different animes that occasionally clash.
A little bit. It reminds me of how, like, how they added all of the extra Pilaf stuff to the very first arc of Dragon Ball, but they just
Hmm.
never interact with the heroes until the very end.
Yeah.
It reminds me of that.
Yeah.
I will say the excuse for getting them in is ridiculous, but also funny, which is that the guards totally see them, but they're just like, "This is too stupid. I'm not fucking. I'm not reporting on this." And it's like that even if they knew better or felt better in the moment, it's like, oh well, Eggman blocks out communications on the island, so perfect timing.
Yeah.
Which is weird because like he just already has his pyramid base as well. Like it feels a little. You'd think
We're,
that he would still be hiding on a wrecked ship or something. I don't know.
we're speeding things along.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but we
Um,
get the plan.
yeah. Same deal as
Yeah.
SA2. I will say once again, okay, so far so good as far as Eggman trusting Bruges. I mean, she has no way out of here except by going with him. So there's little risk of betrayal at this point. However, can't help but realize that the writers completely glossed over what Rouge said she wanted from it. It is never made clear what her supposed end of the deal was. I don't
That's
know why
true, yeah.
Eggman thinks that she wants to help him. Like, what is she gaining from this supposedly?
Well, to be fair, Deco and Boko also point out that they can't believe that Eggman, by their words, was sweet talked by Rouge. I don't think that's actually what happened.
No, I mean
But
I don't think he's just doing it because he's a simp. I I think it's
but I do like the Deco and Boko point out that Rouge is definitely suspicious.
the thing is, like, Rouge is obviously sent on this mission by somebody,
Hmm.
but her love for gemstones is enough that I'm wondering, would she do this anyway if she wasn't working for the government? And the
I
answer is
mean,
maybe.
probably.
So if
But
it's
I
literally just
wouldn't
I
be
get to
surprised.
hold the shiny rock,
I mean, that's probably all she wants.
and hey, in this version, Shadow sets the bomb while Rouge gets the emerald, rather than Rouge just doing the whole thing. So we don't have the I'll set the bomb for less time and then get myself trapped.
Yeah, at
I know
least
we
does
had a
make
whole
more sense.
debate over whether that was actually what was happening in SA2, but whatever.
I still think that because there was a boss battle after it, it had to have been the level had to have been limited to the time so that they would have time for the boss fight, and it wasn't actually 5 minutes for the bomb. But in this
Yeah,
show, it seems like they've had a compromise because it starts with 15. She says, "Nah, 5 minutes," and Eggman's like, "Let's do 10."
yeah. Well, it's just it's such a screw up of the dialogue in the game then, because if it meant
Yeah.
5 minutes to get the emerald, it should be plenty. Don't say that after he says set the timer for 15. Um, but yeah, whatever that was in SA2, it's fine here. And yeah, I
It's fine
like
'cause you
this.
don't have to play that level.
Yeah, and
True.
I like this extremely intense gun officer, like in charge of security. He randomly shouts exposition extremely loudly about flying dog to nobody. It's another pilotless mech, and is just like extremely nefarious in his body language and performance.
Yeah,
Just
he's,
another silly random human character in the show.
I
yeah.
guess. And yeah, everything happens roughly the same. We get Amy hugging Shadow. We get
I
it not
can't
being
believe they
funny.
included that. Why did they need to include that?
Yeah.
The sun was in her eyes. Give her a break. Yeah, the plan plays out roughly like it does in the game. We have
Hmm.
everybody infiltrating Prison Island. We have Amy coming to save Sonic, and she doesn't ask Sonic to marry her when breaking him out. Instead, she asks for a date.
Which is a lot more, not ridiculous.
Well, so we talked about in the game how there was this sort of casual attitude that made it feel almost like she was kidding around.
Yeah.
But in here, not only, like, you don't have that same atmosphere, and Sonic is unwilling to even answer her, and just breaks down the cage door himself.
Well, because to be fair, that breaking out would be against would be a violation of his plan.
I think that honestly the humor of this scene is completely preserved. They just decided to do a different twist on it. Because no, I think it's clear that they're both just joking around. Because yeah, Amy's like, "Oh, I'm going on a date with me," and then he's like, "Oh, if that's the cost, then I'll just break out myself." Honestly, I laughed and I thought it was a great moment.
I guess part of it is that Sonic X Amy seems a little bit more like the kind of person that would withhold Sonic's.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's what I was thinking. Like Game Amy, maybe not, depending on how we interpret her.
Though, so I'm not.
Recently, yeah, but depending on how we interpret that era of Amy, you could maybe not. In this show, it definitely does feel like that she would be like, okay, not gonna take me on not gonna let me take you on a date. Fine, I'll just leave.
Yeah, I'll let you die by this gold beetle robot. They adapted that as like Sonic's security guard for some reason.
Sure, why not?
Sure, why not?
I don't know, it just seems random, especially since I forget those things are in the game half the time.
I guess they just needed something.
You went for all A rank, didn't you? They're very important for A ranks.
I try to block out memories of A ranking those games. I A ranked Heroes a while back, you may remember, and it was not fun.
I remember you doing that.
Oh, that's a shame. A good game is fun to 100%, but I guess that just shows that some games aren't very good.
Heroes isn't a good game.
It's also a case of Heroes has way more levels than it should have. I think if it just had Team Sonics, it would be fine. This doesn't matter. Anyway,
maybe Heroes.
Tanaka went in alone without Chris and just like left him on the boat, and ended up meeting with Tails, and it's like, yeah, you guys probably should have just coordinated this from the beginning, but
yeah,
Chris does not know how to leave well enough alone.
Yeah, so he's gotta start climbing up also.
Yeah. And okay, so let's talk about Rouge here. So Flying Dog reaches Rouge and locks down the room and all that. And then she says something like, "You're late. I was hoping to enjoy myself a bit longer." So the room she's in is about to explode and she's just standing around ogling the jewels?
Perfect Rouge.
Rouge has her. Yeah, no, that's perfect for Rouge.
Yeesh. So Sonic and Shadow finally cross paths in the forest, and their fight kind of looks like crap.
Yeah, this fight's not great.
It's like you'd think that this would be when they'd pull out all the stops, and do, a big hashtag Sakuga moment.
Yeah, you'd think so.
Like, okay, for one thing, this show so rarely has Shadow use his shoes like the fucking jets that they are. He just runs like Sonic a lot of the time.
Oh, yeah.
They did it correctly during the first encounter.
They did. They did. I appreciated that.
Yeah, maybe it depends on the episode, but they also they do this weird happy slaps kicking dance thing.
On one hand, that's I don't think that's entirely lame, because to me it kind of shows that they think similarly.
Well, so I expect,
but also it is kind of stupid.
I expect Sonic to be someone who primarily fights with kicks.
Yes.
It's just that him and Shadow doing that, it just looks goofy is the whole thing.
It does.
Them doing the same moves doesn't necessarily need to be silly looking.
No, it doesn't need to be. It's just when your animation budget is like a couple quarters.
Yeah.
Shadow does at least get in one good punch to the face on Sonic, so
that's all we really need.
Yeah, it's a little spiritual successor to Sonic Eraser. So Chris, as we've seen at this point, has gone into Prison Island, and he doesn't know about the bomb. Rouge is locked in, and Shadow, when he gets the communication about this, actually refuses to save her at first so he can keep fighting Sonic?
That doesn't make any sense.
It feels like they're already at this point laundering Shadow to be more of a dickhead.
Yeah.
Because, this is a conversation that goes on about Shadow a lot in the fandom, is that in SA2, Shadow is a certain way, and in every game after that, Shadow is a little bit different. And I think that a lot of times it's, hard to accept that Shadow, even once he's on the hero's side, is just not nice.
Well, I mean, I don't have a problem with Shadow being an asshole or being a dick, but him just saying "fuck you, Rouge," figure this shit out yourself.
Well, it's like you had the... Yeah.
Well, that just makes your plan not work, bud.
Basically. And, yeah, Sonic, of course, just gets out of there when he realizes the island's going to blow up.
Smart.
So Shadow has to actually... Fine, I guess I have to keep you from exploding.
Oh, let's not forget Chris shows up then.
Yes. Shadow promises revenge for Maria. We get a little bit of that here. And Chris jumps on him just as he chaos controls because Chris thinks it's Sonic.
Well, to be fair, no. He thinks it's Sonic initially, then realizes that's not Sonic, and then realizes, wait, you're the imposter that people think is Sonic. And then, for some reason, thinks the best plan of action is to tackle him.
Yeah, Chris can take him.
Sure.
I guess he's just standing there, so...
He is, until he teleports.
Yes,
which Chris has already seen him do, by the way.
Oh, yeah. Which brings him directly inside the facility. No white jungle here. But...
I mean, that's fine. That's a fine compression.
No,
yeah,
I don't have a problem with
compression.
That. But, yeah, they get taken to where Rouge is, and Shadow punches him off, and is, again, perfectly willing to let him explode, except then he looks at Chris, and I guess because Chris is a human child, suddenly sees Maria.
Because all human children look the same, apparently.
Okay, I don't think he literally is recognizing Chris as Maria. I think he's just saying, it's a human child, so is Maria, I should do that.
Yeah.
It still seems a little flimsy, but...
It does.
Yeah, so they teleport out of there, and our cliffhanger is with the big explosion, and you definitely can't pretend there were no casualties on Prison Island.
Oh yeah, the people definitely died on Prison Island.
I have a note about that in the next episode, but
yeah, I know.
But my only comment for now is that Eggman looks at the explosion and just says, and then flies away. Like, he's like, oh, the 4 Chaos Emeralds and Shadow are all blown up?
Damn. Well. Shame.
Yeah, it's,
It's very silly.
Yeah, not sure about that one.
Yeah.
But, let's finish off here with episode 36, The Threat from Outer Space, or Shadow World in the dub. Chris finds himself on a platform floating in space, along with Shadow. It turns out Eggman's plan and the secrets of Project Shadow lie in the space colony Ark. And, yes, for the first time in the entire show, in the fallout from Prison Island, Sonic verbally expresses some amount of caring about Chris.
He does, yeah. It's, I'm impressed, Sonic.
He's pretty aloof about it either way, but he did...
He is, but that's just how he is.
Yeah, and, well, frankly, it's like, I was going to say, like, man, they learn pretty fast that Chris is alive, but at the same time, I don't really want to watch them moping for a bunch of time over something that's not
really.
even true.
Yeah. Anyway, right off the bat, we learned there were no casualties.
Yeah, exactly.
It's... yeah.
No one can ever die. Unless it's Maria, then she has to.
Oh, you'll see, though.
Oh, good.
No, actually, you won't, because you're watching the Japanese version. But, yeah, so Chris is with Eggman on the Ark. And, oh shit, Knuckles is in this show. Remember him?
Yeah, I was gonna... one of my first note for this episode, while I was watching the intro, is, we haven't seen Knuckles in a while.
Yeah.
And then, like, 5 minutes later, oh, there's Knuckles.
Yeah, he's at the pyramid
quite
base.
frankly, that is perfectly fine, because...
Sure.
He doesn't have much purpose in the SA2 plot.
He really doesn't. They could have honestly gotten rid of most of Well, they did get rid of most of what
Yeah,
Knuckles
they
does.
just kept him in really. They had a little
Behind
intro
the
because he
haze.
has to get in there somehow.
Right.
And then they used him when he's actually relevant, and that's about it.
Right. Yeah, because any other time in SA2, he's just trying to find emerald shards.
My
Yeah.
question is, if he's tracking Rouge, why is he here in the desert? Like,
I
I
assume
guess
he's
he
tracked
somehow found out
Rouge.
that Rouge was working with Eggman, but I want to know how.
Maybe he just tracked Rouge all the way to the desert.
Well, so what, did he go to Prison Island too?
Sure.
Well, so
Wow.
yeah, I don't know.
That is one thing, because in the game, wasn't he just tracking emerald shards and he happened to end
Yeah.
up there?
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
so
just
that,
so maybe Rouge left the Master Emerald here.
That
well,
would make sense.
you know
'Cause
what? That actually makes a lot
we
of sense.
seemingly have already forgotten that she stole the Master Emerald.
It doesn't come
Yeah.
up again for a while.
No, it doesn't. So this scene with Chris on the Ark, I actually kind of liked because he says something along the lines of, "Wow, am I the first kid to go into space?" And Shadow's like, "Ha, no." And then he like catches himself because he realized he just let that slip.
This conversation between Chris and Shadow is actually super awkward, and I love it.
Yeah, they really don't know what to do with each other, and why would they? It's
I mean, yeah.
not really correct. And okay, I don't know if now is the right time to rant about this. I think I may wait till next time. So we get the Maria flashback. We finally are
Right.
here. We see them running from gun guys. We actually see Gerald running with them. I don't know where how he gets separated, but
Oh, yeah.
we see a gunshot go off in the hallway, and then we see Maria give her final words to Shadow while, bleeding out, probably. Yeah, they don't show that, but,
No, but
pulling
she's
the
shaking.
switch and then falling. I'm just gonna say, hang on to the specifics of what happens here. Because,
I feel like I know where you're going because I've heard about where you're going before.
yeah, I'm not gonna
So-
push it any further than just, this is what I normally think of when I think of this scene.
Sure.
They also choose to adapt Shadow's scrambled memory of Maria's wish by having explosions from the Ark drown out what she actually said.
I guess that makes more. Well, not make more sense, but that makes some sense.
It's editing memories is science mumbo jumbo anyway, so I'll accept
Yeah, it
anything,
is.
honestly.
Yeah, I mean,
fair enough.
What I will not as easily accept is the fact that Rouge gets to come along to the Ark. She serves no purpose. Why is Eggman still letting her tag along?
I guess because she got shiny rocks and he thinks he can.
So
sort
they
of
chaos
her.
controlled here. It's always unclear in SA2 how they get to and from the Ark from Eggman's base. I think they have a transporter.
Yeah.
Yeah, they show a transporter in SA2. That's what they have. That's what they use.
So I mean, I guess he could just throw her back if he wanted, but
Well, the only way this worked in my head was that Rouge literally hands him an emerald and silver platter, and Eggman's like, "Oh, sure, why not? I'll use her for now." But he should cast her aside as soon as he has all the emeralds he needs, and he does now. The only other emerald is with the heroes, so there's
I
no reason for
mean,
Rouge.
she's cannon fodder.
maybe he can sell her to get that from them. I don't know.
Well, but he doesn't.
He doesn't,
doesn't.
but maybe he would have if he had, if circumstances were different. I don't know.
Maybe.
I stand by cannon fodder. She's something to throw at the heroes, so they don't immediately come to him.
Well, let's talk about something different because we've got something more important in this scene, which is
French fries for lunch.
Thank you.
Amazing.
it's my boy Jerome. He's back again, eating French fries for lunch.
With a knife and fork.
He is living at a rundown. Is this just like a hotel or whatever?
They call it a hotel.
Yeah. And the only reason that's relevant is because Stuart and Scarlett arrive there. They're looking for someone who also lives here who is familiar with Project Shadow. Do you guys know who this is? Do you guys have any idea?
I think I know, but I'm not going to say anything.
All right,
Wait, does this guy show up again in the next few episodes?
maybe.
Okay, then I know who this is.
Yeah,
And
then I'm definitely
surprised
sure.
that this guy was in the show.
Okay.
We'll talk about him later.
Yeah. But hey, we've got so much going on. Let's just, clear the air by blowing up part of the moon.
Heck yeah.
Yeah? Well, yeah.
I will much more let slide the fact that Eggman. Well, I mean, he would always threaten to destroy the world, but I had some issue with him actually seemingly about to follow through with it. But in this show, it makes so much more sense because he's not even from Earth. Like, if he blows up Earth, he can just go back to Mobius, build Eggman land there. Like, he doesn't care nearly as much in this show.
No, he has no reason to care enough about this planet.
Hell yeah. And, okay, they honestly could have reused the CG from SA2's cutscene, because the CG here, for all the difference it makes, is still really jarring, and I think probably looks worse.
Yeah, but we don't get a terrifying child.
We don't, that is true. Unless you count Chris.
Well, he's terrifying for a different reason.
Yeah. And in this version, the moon is clearly blown in half right down the middle, not from front to back like Sonic Team has to claim nowadays in order to keep drawing full moons in their games.
Yeah.
However, this show, I don't mind it, because they come up with a better follow-up to this than SEGA ever did.
Interesting.
But that's next week. Or maybe the week after next? I don't know.
It's next week.
Alright, well, yeah, so that's good. But, Shadow gets another Maria flashback, and he's like, I can't figure out why I was born and what I'm meant to do. Which is interesting, because did Gerald just not tell him that, okay, I can imagine Gunn not wanting to let him know that he's a weapon for Gunn, but did Gerald not say that, part of you is meant to be a cure for my granddaughter's sickness?
So Shadow was reprogrammed after the Ark incident while Gerald was on Prison Island, right?
Yes.
So at that point, Gerald's mental state was clearly deteriorated.
Yeah, but he says, I don't know what I'm for in the flashback with Maria, I think.
Remember again,
yes,
these are flashbacks from Shadow's memory, so they're not...
Shadow's memories that have been reprogrammed, so even then, this could still be a false memory.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. So, meanwhile, back on Earth, Tails gets his fake Emerald game going. I don't think we need to... I think we've spared enough words on fake Chaos Emeralds.
Yeah, we only spent probably 10 minutes ranting about it on SA2. It's fine.
But this has a more important purpose to this scene, because Men in Black are in this show.
I mean, that doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, they are following around our reporter duo, trying to keep the peace by silencing them, I assume.
And hey, just remember, the best award for a journalist is an assassination attempt from the CIA.
True.
Yeah, it's funny. I guess this is what we get instead of Mission Street. It's just Sonic and Knuckles in an alleyway fighting a bunch of gun robots.
Why are the gun robots attacking Knuckles?
He fucked with them.
Maybe they just assumed that because he's also a furry that he's on Sonic's side?
Oh, so now they're opening fire upon all the furries?
So Gunn is racist.
Well, we already knew that.
Yeah, fair enough, actually.
Like that we said that at the same time. But it's okay. They get a little help from... Oh, right. Cream is in this show. I forgot about that. And
it's fine. She's barely important most of the time.
Mr. Tanaka in a Kill Bill costume?
Bruce Lee costume, but yeah.
Oh, I associate it mentally with Kill Bill.
Yeah, it's from Game of Death. That's where Kill Bill got it from.
Oh. That movie's good at theft.
More like being inspired, but sure.
I like theft. It's good. Anyway, they do not ambush the president's limo in this version because they've got an ally on the inside already.
It's true, they do!
But, yeah, it means that they start heading for Eggman's base, and, guys, what happened to Tails? Where'd he go?
That's a good question.
He made the fake emerald, Sonic was arbitrarily separated from him, and now they're just going off without him. What happened?
And then he's gonna show back up again.
Yeah.
Just a little weird mistake.
Yeah, that's weird that they don't.
They forgot about Tails like they forgot about Zeta. Same deal.
Yeah, I suppose. But everybody's in the desert base, and Egg Golem, which Bokun sets off of all people,
Yeah, and also I know the art in the episode kind of starts falling apart at this point.
Yes, Sonic and Knuckles get drawn with enormous heads in this section.
I was getting vibes of Sonic Underground.
A
Yes.
little bit, yeah. I guess they can skip past King Boom Boo as well, but I kind of expected that.
That's fine.
And
Well,
frankly,
he's already been in the show.
That's true.
so-
We've seen King Boom Boo already.
that's the thing, is that even if he wasn't in the show already, I kind of expect him to skip past it.
Well, yeah, that's also true. He's not plot relevant, from what I remember.
Yeah, but rather than Sonic and Knuckles breaking Egg Golem, it takes Topaz hostage, but then Tanaka distracts Bokun while Amy and Cream steal the remote to make it attack him instead.
I like how the writers are playing a little with the adaptation here, because originally Knuckles was going to go look for the keys, and then they just
Right.
have Egg Golem smash the door down instead.
I
Yeah.
mean, we don't need no more of Knuckles. We don't need Knuckles looking for things. We got that enough in SA2.
Man,
Exactly.
I fucking hate Death Chamber. I don't like that level at all.
I like its music. I don't like the
All
do
the
like
Knuckles
music.
stages have amazing music.
Yeah,
a
that's
given.
true. That's. But you know,
And here's Tails. So I guess the explanation for why he was gone is that he was setting up the X Tornado for space flight.
which they don't even use.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
they
such a
make a
weird
joke
plot
about
point.
it.
Well, so I will accept the fact that he made an artificial Chaos Emerald for that purpose, not just here, Sonic, have an artificial Chaos Emerald.
Yeah, they tried to sort of make that plot point work a little better.
I think
But
it does
wasn't
work at least
perfect.
a little better, but then they don't even use it, which is really stupid.
That's the
Now-
problem, yeah.
My question is this: is this long-term Chekhov's gun setup for the Metarex arc?
Artificial Chaos Emerald thing.
Possible? I don't... It's hard to say how this show is
Both
written.
artificial Chaos Emeralds and the X Tornado flying in space, which is what I was talking about, are factors in that
Okay.
arc.
Well, probably not, but I don't fucking know, maybe.
Yeah. But, yeah, poor Tails doesn't get to use his invention. Instead, we all take off on the shuttle into space, and that is going to be where we stop here.
I'm annoyed Tails didn't at least take his own plane.
Yeah, I mean, you need two. That way, if one of them gets destroyed because someone is fighting over the controls, you'll have a backup.
God.
Oh
Well,
my
the X
God.
Tornado also has guns on it and weapons.
Also useful things to have, such as perhaps, any kind of biological life forms out there that
Yeah,
you encounter fused
you
to the
know.
arc.
You know, when we don't know for sure if we're going to run across anything like that. We might.
Anyway, that is going to be where we stop for tonight. Next time on Deep Dive Zone, we will finish off the SA2 arc and get some bumbling fools, which will be neat. These episodes are about the same as SA1 in terms of good to bad adaptation
Yeah,
ratio, I think.
They're fine. Nothing
yeah.
egregiously bad.
I was noticing myself having more fun than with SA1, but I don't know if that's just because I like SA2's story better.
So, I mean, I was already noticing myself enjoying the show more with SA1 than with the original content. So, I was already having a better time. So, this is just more of a better time.
But the fun can only continue for so long each week, I know you're just chomping at the bit to get to next episodes because they're so perfect all the time, but that is going to be where we stop for tonight. For those of you watching, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you have a great rest of your week, a great rest of your night. If you have any questions, comments, criticism, or feedback, you can reach us at any of the links in the link tree in the description. And if you like this video, please feel free to share, like, comment, and subscribe. We will see you next time. I hope you have a great rest of your night, and take care.